Now, speaking of that, you doing your thing on the media side. You see the DFW, a lot of platforms popping up that's doing their thing. Boss Talk doing their thing. I'm doing my thing. You doing your thing. Dallas Global, BZTV, Texpos. It's a lot of media platforms in Dallas, man. Talk about your platform, because you have some heavy hitters on there, man, that people only wish they can get. Talk about your platform. What makes it different? What makes it unique? And what's your approach?
My approach was I already saw everything that was going on here. Say Cheese TV, Real Life Street Stars, Mogul Media. All you guys are doing just a phenomenal job with the pieces of content that you guys have been creating. And I think as content creators, and when you jump into that realm, you have to really have an understanding of as to like how you want to present yourself and how you want to present your product to the masses. For me, I have an advantage coming from the promoter world, which is allowing me to have a specific type of guest. And I'm also very knowledgeable and have years and years of relationships and resources that I can dip into, that I can go and do this and do that. And some of these things are maybe generational, right? Like interviewing an artist like Genuine might not be something that speaks to the younger audience, but to the audience that appreciates that, that's a big interview.
No, absolutely.
So for me, being able to kind of jump into that space, really, man, to be quite honest with you, it stems from me doing years of promoting and being a promoter and giving interviews to platforms like 97.9 and K104 and the Dallas Observer and the D Magazine. And early on, when I would give these guys the interviews, these guys would take the interviews. They wouldn't credit me. They wouldn't allow the artist to promote the show on the interview. They would ask for it, but they would be like, hey, the promoter's not running advertisements with us. Me being young and naive and really just wanting to quote unquote build a relationship, I would go there and I would take the artist, but whenever I, would see that they wouldn't credit me, I would feel played. So
Absolutely.
I'm not going to do that no more. And, I want to start controlling my own content. I want to start establishing my own platform. I want to start feeding these interviews through wherever I'm going, so I can basically say, hey, you know what? We're going to promote whatever I want to promote. And at the same time, I was looking at it from the perspective of like, hey, I just paid this talent $10,000. To me, this is a $10,000 interview. And so, I think that was the inception of it. But I think the approach now is really not to be a competitor or compete with the other platforms, because there's so many guys that do it just more frequently, more consistently.
I don't look at it ever as a competition. I mean, if you want to compete with number wise who do best numbers, I mean, that's cool. I understand that part. But I just feel like everybody has their own style, their own way of doing things. Even if we interviewed the same people, the approach is always different. The look is always different. The layout is different. So I don't look at it from a competition standpoint. But yeah, definitely, like you're saying, man, in this game, you got to be competitive.
Well,
sure. I mean, consistent.
I would say for me, like, the production value is such a big part for me. Like, I really want to make sure my shit feels and looks different. And that's with anything. It's not just with the show, but the show in specific, that's where I really want to go. Like, hey, I want to give it more of a talk show feel versus, the traditional, vlog style, and that's just my preference. But, like, I've taken artists through all the platforms because I want to see the scene grow. I want to see this become more of a hub. Like, I feel that slowly and gradually radio isn't as effective when it comes to marketing and promotion, right? Slowly and gradually, like the websites, the magazines back in the day, like, you used to have Double XL, The Source or whatever. They're not as effective when it comes to like, working, a project, they still have reach, right? But, everything, like the media world has completely shifted. And the more content that you can establish with people that are establishing a real base, that are really trying to do it and that are actually doing it, those are the people that I want to become allies with. And that's the reason why I'll bring artists to your platform or artists to other people's platforms, because I want to make sure that the artist knows that, hey, they're going to be taken care of when they come into this market, but also that we're real players. And there's a lot of guys that I feel that, like your work and some of the other guys' work, say Cheese, Real Life, I've seen a lot of national platforms pick up. Even my shit recently, it got picked up by some national platforms, and that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel that the more that we take that approach, and the more that I take that approach, the more that I'll be able to position it as that. But the bigger goal in the bigger run is And the bigger picture is to eventually convert it into, you know, not only monetary gain, but also like establishing relationships with people like Def Jam, where they'll be like, hey, Fredo Bang's coming in town. Can you handle this?
No, for sure.
Let's do it. You know what I mean? And that's exactly why I want to do it, you know?
Now, I'll tell you what, man. I appreciate everything that you contributing to the scene. Stepping up, you know what I'm saying? Or not necessarily stepping up, but allowing me to highlight you, because not everybody always want to be in the forefront.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate everything you're doing, man. And Central Popular, August, right? Popular
Yeah,
August
6th, man.
August
3-6 Mafia. Camille in there. Like I said, we got Cap G, we got GT Guards, and we have Flawless Real Talk. I still wanted to pepper in a little bit of that Latin flavor. I got a few guys from the area. Juice Leroy, Damon Rogers, best show in town. Wanted to highlight some of those guys. And like you said, man, to your point, doing this isn't easy. Like going out and doing events isn't for everybody. We do really endure and experience a certain level of like, maybe not racism is the word I want to use, but definitely like there's a stiff arm there, and people are a little bit reluctant to give minorities an opportunity to step into these spaces for whatever reason. And we can go into that a whole nother time. But to be a minority, to be a Mexican American, to go out there and continue to put on events, like I wish people would just understand that it's not as easy as it appears to be. There's a lot of layers to that, and you got to know how to not only communicate, you also got to know how to maneuver in that space. And as long as you're able to maneuver in that space, I think that you'll be surprised how far you can get. And hopefully, I'm living proof to that.
Hey, man. Well, Smooth Vega, man, you're always welcome here on my platform, man. I appreciate all that you're doing for the city, man.
I appreciate it too, man. And you know what I'm saying? If anybody got a problem with that gatekeeper list, come see me, dog. I just let you.
Until we meet again.
Let's go.
Peace.